So today we're going to be looking at the sales of a 8-figure Amazon brand and what our actual numbers were in January of 2022. Hey, if you don't know who I am, my name is Nate Slamans with Amazing Freedom. My partner Andy and I own a portfolio of brands that does about $15 million a year. And right now we're doing this $10 million challenge in 2022, where we are just really trying to be transparent, show you our real numbers every single month as we try to hit 8 figures this year in 2022. We'll talk about what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, mistakes we're making, challenges we're hitting, and then we'll look at our actual sales numbers, dive into our PPC, profit margins, all that good stuff that I think would be helpful and information that I wish I had back when I started Amazon and first started building my brands, because it's not something that you actually hear a lot. You hear sellers talk about revenue, but not a lot about like actual PPC costs and rising costs and the actual profit margin. At the end of the day, something we've at different seasons of the business struggled with. And so I want to be open and transparent about that. So we released January 2022 numbers, and our goal for January was to hit $700,000 in revenue on Amazon, have an ACoS of 24% across the portfolio of SKUs in that account, and then have a TACoS, total advertising cost of sale, of 12% and a net profit margin of at least 16%. So let's see where we got. So unfortunately, we did not hit our revenue goal. So you can see in this screenshot that we ended at $611,000, which was still up over December of 2021, but was not where we wanted to be and was actually lower than our January 2021 number. So year over year, we were lower. And I'll get into a second why. There was basically one major reason. One of our top selling SKUs went down for the entire month. So whenever that happens, typically you're not going to have a very good month. So we ended the month at 611. Again, that was up 143,000 month over month, but down year over year. Our overall conversion across all of our ASINs was 10.35% versus 12% last month. So that was actually down, which just means that we actually got more impressions since our sales were up, but our conversions were down. And, there's debate out there exactly what goes into sessions. Is it including PPC metrics, which a lot of people say no. So just because the conversions are down on the back end of your Amazon reports doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually converting less if you take into account PPC, which makes up a big part of our total sales, PPC sales. Our session value was also down month over month. Again, I don't put too much into that right now, given the seasonality of our products. This is a good number. ACoS was down overall 19% versus 23% month over month. In our TACoS, which is an even better number to look at when we include our total organic sales and our PPC sales. And this is actually a net TACoS, which means we are also including returns and refunds. That was down to 10% versus 13% the month before. TACoS is different depending on your niche and in just how the product life cycle of your products and how aggressive you're being. But sticking under 15% for most niches is pretty healthy. So we weren't able to hit the goal. Again, I talked about the reason we weren't able to do that is one of our top 3 best-selling ASINs went down for almost the whole month. And the reason is super frustrating. It got flagged as a restricted product, even though it's not a restricted product. And we went back and forth with Amazon. We had actually dealt with this in the past, and we were able to get back relatively quickly. So we thought this should be like a 3 to 5 day issue, and it turned into a 3+ week issue. So the entire month of January, we were down. And at the end of it, we found out, we believe, that a competitor basically got into the back end. We aren't exactly sure how, but uploaded some bogus keywords or fields on the back end and basically got the Amazon bots to flag our product and take it down. The reason we think that is on one of this is a product with multiple variations. On one of the variations, we saw keywords, search terms on the back end that we never put in. So that was an obvious flag. The other variations didn't have that, but they were like also in a different category. Weird stuff going on that is super frustrating. And that's just the reality of Amazon, that you deal with these black hat competitors at times. And it's not just US sellers or Chinese sellers that do it. It can happen in any niche from any type of source. super frustrating. But if we actually estimate our lost sales from that one product, and this is pretty accurate, was between 150 and 200,000. So again, a range, but on the low end, 150. So we ended at 611. If that were not to have happened, we would have actually overshot our goal and probably ended about 750 to 800,000 for January. And obviously a big loss not having that. So a couple of tips just to do is your TOS campaign and optimization that we've really been looking at. And so if you check out our blog, we have some recommendations there, but we do a top of search campaign that separates our best performing keywords for a particular product. So if you, especially your hero SKUs, your best selling ASINs, if you don't have a ton of ASINs, we have over 100 ASINs, so it gets difficult to manage all ASINs the same. Although if you have the right systems, you can get there. But definitely our top 10 ASINs, we like to have top of search campaigns that are broken out separately on our PPC and have exact keyword matches that are really easy to see within your campaign how those are doing. So just a little bit of PPC tips there. And then something else, going back to the takedown recommendation, this seems maybe obvious to some of you, but definitely call Amazon when you want to make listing changes during a suspension or a restricted ASIN. So when an ASIN gets taken down, a lot of times the information that's showing on the front, the back end of it's taken out on the front end, so there is no front end, but the back end, what you see in your Amazon Source Central back end results, what's showing there is not always what like the Amazon brand catalog team is seeing actually submitted as the core information that the Amazon reinstatement team is going to be looking at. So that's something very important to look at. Make sure you call the Amazon brand catalog team, or someone on your team does, and our brand manager does for us. He'll be on the phone with them. He'll actually verify what the catalog team is seeing as being currently submitted, and then we'll ask them to do a write-up and an escalation to the reinstatement team. Of course, there is no phone number for reinstatement team, so you can't get through to them, but the catalog team can do some documentation, annotation, write-ups for you, and confirm that what you're seeing on your back end is what they are seeing. And if someone has gotten into your listing, that could help that. So that's just a tip on reinstatements. A couple more best practices is that we are just taking away from our January, and just this is kind of rapid fire for our brand in 2022, is number one, don't be afraid of price increases. I think you're going to be seeing this across the board. Obviously, from a macroeconomic view, everybody's talking about inflation, but we're really seeing that in our own brand. Our shipping costs went up 4 or 5 times last year for most of our boat containers. We're on a FIFO inventory basis, so a lot of the inventory that we're selling was even took a couple more months to get to those increased costs before we got there. And so our Q4 margins really took a hit between rising PPC costs and rising COGS with our shipping costs, and then our suppliers have been hitting us with price increases for most of our products as well. So it's like triple, quadruple whammy. And so you really are going to have to raise your prices in order to keep up with having a sustainable gross margin. Now, the challenge always is, how do you increase your price if your competitors are not yet? And that's something that you just have to work out in your own niche. But sometimes it's not the worst thing to be the higher price product. And sometimes you can still sell more than the lower price. We do. For our best-selling product, we are actually the highest priced on Amazon, and we're the best seller. Now, the reason we've been able to do that is because we've been around the longest. We have the most reviews, the best reviews, and we have some true brand presence off Amazon and on Amazon. So that's where, when everybody talks about brand, like building brand, not just selling widgets, that's what you can do. You can build like a moat around your pricing a little bit and really have healthier margins than your competition. So if you haven't done that, then raising your prices is more difficult. Number two, you can keep up with your Amazon news and get rid of junk. So back in January, when Amazon was hiking the FBA disposal prices and just all the FBA fees in general, we were talking about it a lot in our insider newsletter. Sign up for that at amazingfreedom.com/insider if you haven't yet. We talked about that. You probably saw it in the news, but if you didn't, you may have missed that there was a cutoff for when you could dispose inventory or return inventory to your warehouse cheaper. And then they jacked it up like 2 or 3 times. I can't remember now, but a lot, right? So we got rid of some stuff before that date to save on some money before they raised the prices. Number 3, you can keep your store in trend. as your brand might go through some kind of seasonality, you can update your Amazon storefront, the homepage, to specifically highlight those products that are the most in season, and just be tweaking and testing that. When it comes to Amazon, data is so important. That's why there's all these softwares and tools out there to help with data. And you really want to be looking at how you can tweak your storefront, your main images, your titles, all these kind of things on Amazon all the time. And so keeping your store in trend is important for us because we do have a lot of seasonality, and it might be for you. Lastly here, quick January tip is to palletize what you can. Again, may be obvious, but might not. You might want to look at forecasting month or two in advance of your inventory if you use a 3PL. Instead of having them do small parcel deliveries, look at using LTL shipments. And we've seen a savings of roughly 30% of cost versus small parcel delivery when we do LTL shipments. So if you aren't palletizing, look at it. It might be worth it. And it might, even though it seems like more work, if you get a good system, you can actually have better stocking at Amazon. We've seen our LTL shipments actually checking in relatively similar to small parcel delivery lately, but that's not always the case. And getting good shipping logistics isn't always easy as well. But if you go through the Amazon system, it's pretty cut and dry. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. So those are just a couple quick tips. Our real numbers from January, we're trying to get to $10 million in sales this year as part of our $10 million challenge selling on Amazon. The reason I'm making these videos is to update you. And again, something I wish I had back when I was first creating my brand. I want to be transparent here. A lot of sellers that we've talked to and have helped through over the years have failed or experienced a lot of pain when it comes to selling on Amazon. We don't want you to be one of them, trying to get as much helpful information that we can out there. If you go to amazingfreedom.com, you can sign up to be that insider. You'll get our monthly magazine, our weekly newsletter, our monthly stats that I've been talking about here. You'll get notification on all that. So go ahead and do that. Hope this was helpful. Catch you next time.